I have two buttons I have to push. So, and I'm like mixed up, but anyway, I'm here. And thank you everyone for coming this morning. I really appreciate your being here. It's so great to know that I can count on you, you can count on me, and I can count on you, and I really appreciate it. So what I've done was I took the wolf off the board, but I put him, the little, what looks like a bas relief right now, on my clay heating, which is, just a plate warmer, clay heating table. And so he's now kind of nice and warm. So see how easily that peeled off? That peeled right off. And I've got some warm clay, and I'm just going to start to bulk up. And I'm going to look at my picture as I go, but just start to bulk this up. And now that I had the proportion, I didn't do a thing since you've last seen me. So I'm just getting right on here. And because this is nice and warm, I can just start putting more clay on it, and it just sticks so nicely. So I've got my proportions, and that's what I wanted. And now I'm just going to start to build this up. And of course, I'm not going to have two legs together like that, but it's a great way to get started and not feel like, okay, how do I begin? And so this will start to take shape. And I'm kind of planning that we would do this the same way the bobcat. Maybe we don't get 100% finished on air, but we get the general idea and the general techniques so that you can finish it on your own, and we move on to something else that gives you the practice that you really need to get good at sculpture. Just doing textures and that kind of refinement takes time, but it doesn't teach you this process, which is the creating the form, the correct form. And that's why I want to do more sculpture, and I'll put them away and work on them in my own time, and then take them out and say, okay, this is what I did. Because I'm not going to not finish that, the bobcat here. So my clay is nice and hot, really. And when I first take it out, I'm just getting in the practice of not putting my hand on it at first. And I can kind of ladle it on when it's really hot, which is nice. Just building up. I don't know if any of you are following along with your own version. It would be so much fun if someone would take a stab at this as we go along, because I'll definitely show them at the end on YouTube in the posts section. You can always email me your picture of your work in progress or questions about what you're doing at learnsculpture@gmail.com. So that's our official email. And it's a little different from the Learn Sculpture channel. I'd set it up that way on purpose so we wouldn't have ever a chance of this channel being kind of hacked or hijacked by some kind of email. So it's a separate type of email, which is great. But go ahead and feel free to show me your pictures and questions. And if you ask me not to post your picture, I won't. I will just take a look and say, okay, do this or do that. Just a little advice, if you want it, to help accelerate your progress. So, I'm going to be doing a lot of animals. I think animals are, you could go on and really learn about anatomy, all kinds of things. If you want to do human figures, that's fine too. I just think that for this channel, doing an animal is probably more fun for a lot of people who want to learn, because it just gives you more learning latitude than a human figure. Human figures they can be hard. I did mostly human figures and faces, and there's a challenge to that genre, and plus I think there's more chance for an animal sculpture to kind of, people want to display that more than the human figures kind of got out of fashion, I think, a little bit. Not that that matters, but Okay, so I'm building up. You can see it's like a little two-dimensional wolf right now. But as you work, I always forget to, just like drawing, if you spend all your time shading, you'll never master proportions. Is that not the truth? Absolutely. Shading is, something at the end. But if you look at the great masters' drawings, the thickness of the line, and the variation in the line, it varies in thickness as they're showing weights and expressing the idea of not just proportion, but the weights. It's really instructive if you want to check out Leonardo or Michelangelo's drawings, because they don't spend a lot of time shading, but they do a lot of drawing to master the art of figures in the first place, drawing included. So, okay, let me see. I'm going to thicken him up a little bit, but where? That's the question. Do I just add it here and here? No. What you want to do is go from where the feet start and see how high that should be. Well, that's not too bad, although I would want to go to the lower. I think underneath is, ouch. My clay is hot. And I have this on the lowest setting, and it really heats it up. But at the same time, it cools it really quickly. So I'm pretty much right where that would be. Let me just check it to the back leg. And sometimes it helps like this. Like you might say, okay, the back leg is down here, and there's where the stomach begins. It's a little bit tricky because this is a picture, but you might want to, kind of create this kind of help where you draw a line and then you draw another line, so you can mark up your work to help you figure out where to start. So if I have that like that, then I want to be right there. And I pretty much am. So okay, I'll just continue on that line. But I'm using some kind of a guide, and that's what's important. So I don't have my close-up on. Let's do that. Let's change to the close-up today. I got my new camera, but I haven't installed it yet because I have to learn how to use it. All right, so now you can, right now it looks like a cow with a long tail. And okay, so probably people are wondering, well, how are we going to get to this? Well, what I want to do is, that's a tough pose to do exactly right. So I want to do more of the side view where we really match up both sides first. And then I'll put this on my clay warmer and make sure it's warm enough, and I'll fix that pose to the new pose. I know this builds up here. We'll just try to be a good example and check where that's going to, okay. Let's go in here and then out. After a while, when you're looking at things and you're doing this a lot, you'll find that you don't need to measure as much as you used to, but this is what takes practice. It just takes a lot of working before you get there. Ouch. The clay is hot. I love this clay though. I would not want to use another kind of clay. I like the lightness of it, the color. It's great. And when the clay is warm on warm, it's better. It adheres better. And when you're using your hands like this, it just makes it, ouch, I'm going to turn it over. And I'm not worried about the fact I only have one leg or two together and two, not yet. Just get your bulking up going and keep your proportion. Now, ouch, that clay is hot. All right, and I'm just bulking that up. What we don't have is a front-on view yet, and I'm going to have to try to find one as we progress, and I will. And I'll do that with stop action on videos, because we need a really accurate head-on view. Now, if I really get lost, I do have a local zoo that I work with, and I can go over there. They have wolves, and I can go over and take pictures. So I do have a fallback if I really feel like, oh gosh, we don't have enough reference material. I need to, let me just get this like here to his face. So we can fall back on that if we need to. All right. And okay, I'm on target so far. But this just gives us a small amount of information, relatively speaking, to what we're going to need for the whole project. Let me put a little bit more clay on. I know it's going to be hot back here. It's hotter back here because I have it more insulated. But that's the way it works. And it cools down so quickly that I wish it stayed hot longer. There we go. I think this will be a fun one in the end. It's not too big either. I mean, it's not going to be taking up all your shelf space. I mean, you can always make it bigger. I do have a large format printer, and I could print these out much bigger as I go, but who out there has a large format printer? I mean, that's why I'm trying to keep it to the 8.5 by 11 size so that we can have everybody have a way to print it out and work with it. But if you know how to use Photoshop and you do have a large format printer, what you can do is take my guides and just, percentage-wise, make them all bigger, at the same percentage, and print those out and make a bigger wolf. So that might be fun for some people who have that. So I'm just trying to equalize these masses but keeping the guide's proportions. There we go. So is anybody out there interested in trying this? I hope so. I mean, it just helps you practice. You don't have to be a great sculptor. Practicing is kind of fun. And it gives you a sense of confidence. And the material, I still had some hot material here. It gives you a sense of confidence over time, I should say. At first you go, oh gosh, I can't figure this out. That's very common. And we don't want anyone to get discouraged. I'm trying to keep it relatively simple, but still have a challenging project. I can always make suggestions. I'm always open to suggestions too about how I could do better. I think the new camera is going to be a game changer too. It's sitting over there in a box, but I haven't put it together. Oh, I hope so, Mark. I hope you give it a try. I would love it if you would participate some, and because you're already very versed at sculpture techniques in wood, and it's not going to translate directly, but so much of what you already know will just come into play, and you'll go, oh, this is great, and it gives you a freedom that wood probably doesn't give you. Although wood is fantastic, I mean, you get more learning, I think, in clay because you can go and from thing to thing to thing. You can even melt down what you've just done, or not melt, but soften it and chop it up. You actually can melt this. And some people will make a mold and melt this clay and mold the parts, because then they do reproductions of like maybe lots of faces or lots of wolves. I know it looks really funny right now, but you're going to need the bulking up to happen first. And as long as you're bulking it up in a logical kind of way, you're not going to backtrack on the effort and time you've spent. So we're bulking him up. He's going to look pretty good and, pretty fierce when we're done with him. I hope. Well, that didn't get that far, but at least I got to show you where I'm headed with this to get it started. And there we go. Maybe. That's my alarm. I will see everyone on Friday morning. If I can turn off my alarm, I'll be very happy. Let's see. Dismiss. Oh, well, I can't turn it off directly right now, but I'll say goodbye and see you all next time. Let me say goodbye this way. Thank you for joining me. Get sculpting. Bye-bye.